Dramatic footage of cities under attack from classic Godzilla movies. Imagine towering skyscrapers reduced to rubble, streets swallowed by chaos, and a colossal silhouette looming over it all. We've all witnessed the sheer power and unstoppable force of Godzilla on the big screen. Hey there, folks, ever sat through a Godzilla movie and thought, wow, could the king of monsters actually survive in our real world? Well, grab your popcorn and settle in, because today we're diving deep into the science to answer that very question. Let's get to it. The legend of Godzilla. First off, a quick history lesson. Godzilla stomped into our lives back in 1954, emerging from the depths of Japanese cinema. But he wasn't just any giant monster wreaking havoc. Nope, Godzilla was a metaphor, a symbol of nuclear destruction and the fears surrounding atomic energy after World War II. Over the decades, he's been everything from a terrifying villain to Earth's last hope against even nastier creatures. And let's not forget those epic battles. So, what are we dealing with here? On average, Godzilla stands about 100 meters tall. That's roughly 328 feet for my fellow metric challenged friends. As for weight, estimates put him upwards of 90,000 tons. And don't even get me started on his abilities. Atomic breath, regenerative healing, massive strength, you name it. The square cube law. Alright, time to nerd out a bit. Ever heard of the square cube law? Don't worry, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. So, here's the deal. As an object grows in size, its volume increases faster than its surface area. Imagine scaling up a tiny cube, double its size, and while its surface area quadruples, its volume, and therefore its mass, goes up 8 times. What does this mean for our pal Godzilla? Well, as he grows, his weight skyrockets compared to his height. This creates some, big problems when it comes to supporting his own weight. Skeletal and muscular feasibility. Let's talk bones and muscles, shall we? Large animals like elephants and those gigantic sauropod dinosaurs had some seriously robust skeletons to support their mass. But even they had limits. Bones can only be so strong before they snap under pressure. So, could any biological material we know of support Godzilla's immense weight of 90,000 tons? Hate to break it to you, but probably not. His bones would need to be ridiculously dense, like, stronger than any natural material we've ever seen. And muscles? They'd have to be insanely efficient to move that kind of mass. The energy required just to take a single step would be astronomical. Metabolic demands. Speaking of energy, let's chat about food. Big guy like Godzilla's gotta eat, right? An adult African elephant eats about 300 pounds of food per day, consuming around 50,000 calories. So, what about Godzilla? He'd need millions, maybe even billions, of calories daily just to stay alive. That's like eating an entire herd of elephants for breakfast. Earth's ecosystems couldn't support such a massive predator. He'd wipe out food sources faster than they could replenish. The food chain would be thrown into complete chaos. Thermoregulation challenges. Alright, let's get into thermoregulation, a fancy word for how animals manage their body heat. As creatures get bigger, they generate more body heat but have relatively less surface area to dissipate it. Kind of like wearing a massive blanket you can't take off. Godzilla would produce an insane amount of heat. Without a way to cool down, he'd overheat pretty quickly. Real-life giants like elephants have adaptations, like big ears, to help release heat. Does Godzilla have something similar? Maybe those dorsal plates act like radiators? But realistically, it's a stretch. Respiration and circulation. Next up, breathing and blood flow. The not so glamorous but oh so important stuff. To supply enough oxygen to his massive body, Godzilla would need lungs the size of small buildings. And even then, the rate at which he'd need to breathe might be impractical. Imagine taking breaths so big, you'd create windstorms. Now, let's talk about his heart. It'd have to be enormous to pump blood all the way from his toes to his head. The blood pressure would be off the charts, increasing the risk of circulatory collapse. Mobility and environmental impact. Assuming he can stand and breathe, could Godzilla actually move? Moving that much weight would require immense energy and put incredible stress on his muscles and joints. Each of his steps would exert pressure so great, it would crush the ground beneath him, potentially causing seismic activity akin to earthquakes. Talk about leaving a mark. Not to mention, infrastructure like roads and bridges wouldn't stand a chance. Sorry, city planners. The atomic breath phenomenon. Alright, let's tackle the elephant, or should I say, the giant lizard, in the room. That epic atomic breath. Could any living creature actually produce and control radioactive energy like that? While some organisms can interact with radiation, like certain bacteria that can survive in radioactive waste, producing and emitting radiation as a weapon is another story. The energy required to generate atomic breath would likely vaporize Godzilla from the inside out. So, unless he's got some unknown biological superpower, this one's firmly in the realm of sci-fi. Evolutionary perspective, evolution time. Let's see why nature hasn't given us anything close to Godzilla. The blue whale is the largest animal known to have ever existed, reaching up to 100 feet in length. But it's supported by water, which helps with buoyancy. On land, gravity is a relentless force. Terrestrial animals have size limits due to factors like resource availability and mobility. Simply put, being too big can be a disadvantage. You need more food, you move slower, and you're more vulnerable to environmental changes. Evolution tends to weed out extremes that don't offer survival benefits. Godzilla versus physics. So, let's pit Godzilla against the laws of physics. Spoiler alert, physics wins. Earth's gravity would make life incredibly tough for a creature of his size. The structural strength needed to support himself would require materials beyond what's biologically possible. Now, on a planet with weaker gravity, things might be different. If Godzilla lived somewhere with less gravitational pull, his size might be more feasible. But then, bringing him to Earth would pose the same problems all over again. Unless he's made of some super strong, lightweight material we haven't discovered, physics says, nah, not happening. Alternative scenarios. Alright, let's indulge in some wild speculation. Could Godzilla originate from a planet with conditions that support his size? Lower gravity, denser atmosphere, sure, why not? But then, could he survive here on Earth? Probably not without some serious adjustments. What about genetic engineering? Could we, in the future, create gigantic organisms? Technically, advancements might make it possible, but there are massive ethical and practical roadblocks. Plus, controlling such a creature would be a whole other can of worms. Conclusion. So, could Godzilla survive in the real world? Between the skeletal limitations, metabolic demands, thermoregulation issues, and just plain old physics, it's safe to say the odds aren't in his favor. But that's the beauty of imagination in cinema. Godzilla doesn't have to play by our rules. While science gives us a resounding no, our creativity lets us dream big, literally. What about you? Do you think there's a way science could one day bring such a creature to life? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Thanks for joining me on this monstrous adventure into the world of Godzilla. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up and smash that subscribe button for more fun explorations into the science behind your favorite legends. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. A huge shout out to our amazing team and all the contributors who helped bring this video to life. You guys are the real heroes. Wanna dive even deeper? Check out the links in the description for some awesome books, articles, and documentaries about Godzilla and the fascinating science we've touched on today. And be sure to follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes sneak peeks, and more. Connect with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Let's keep the conversation going. Before you go, here's a little sneak peek at what's coming next. In our next episode, we're diving into the world of dragons. Could they really breathe fire? We'll explore the myths, legends, and, of course, the science behind it all. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, keep dreaming big and exploring the wonders of the world, both real and imagined. Catch you later.